talking about scissors. And I just want to make sure as you're working at home and working on some cutting tasks for school that we're using appropriate scissor grasp. So these are Fiskars, and these are very common as to what you would have in your home. And most of us will really want to put our child's thumb in the small hole and probably as many fingers as we can in the big hole. And that isn't bad, it's just not the best. So I want to show you some options and what I encourage the students to do when they're in OT. So the problem with doing it this way is we are then encouraging this motion. And this is the opposite motion than we want when we're working on pencil grip and fine motor. We don't want this, we want this. So if we think about trying to develop these muscles, the best way to hold these scissors is with your thumb in the big loop, your middle finger in the little loop, and your index finger curled around. That is what I have the students do. Now, a couple of these are a little too big almost. And that happens a lot with our students that have a little bit smaller hands as well. So I do have an adaptation for that I encourage parents to do. And I only have Scotch tape here, but you could use masking tape. And what I do is I make that hole just a little bit smaller by putting the tape right here at the end. So whenever they go to put their thumb in there, there's less room to move. Okay? Does that make sense? So when they're cutting now, they have a little bit more control of guiding the scissors back and forth. If we do it the other way, you will notice that they kind of flop back and forth. And so when we hold them the correct way, when we take our scissors away, look at what 3 fingers we have out and that we're encouraging kids to use. So that is the way that I like students to be holding scissors. Now these are less common, but sometimes families might have those. And for those ones, just make sure your student is using the thumb hole, the middle finger with the first finger, again, to help them steer back and forth. So when you're cutting, just on paper, you will see that finger down below, this one that I'm moving right now, trying to get out of the way right here, keeps them from moving the scissors completely sideways, which is hard to cut like this. When they curl that around, they're able to steer a little bit better. So when we start talking about cutting on a line and rotating, when we rotate the scissor with this finger out, we have a lot more control. Okay, I hope that helps. Look for some future videos on cutting on a line and cutting simple shapes.